Okay, in this video we're going to look at equivalent fractions, and here's example 1 and here's example 2. So example 1, it says write each fraction as an equivalent fraction with denominator 8. Now remember, a fraction has a numerator over the denominator. Alright, so the denominator is the bottom down. Okay, and so what I want is I want to turn this half into a fraction that has an 8 on the bottom. Okay, so if you think about inches, 1/2 of an inch is how many eighths of an inch, right? And let me ask you this: 2 multiplied by what gives 8? 2 multiplied by 4, right? So if I multiply 2 times 4, I get 8. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to multiply the top by 4, because then if I did that, you see, I would get 1 times 4, that's 4 eighths. And do you know that 4 eighths of an inch is the same thing as 1/2, right? So the answer is 4 eighths, isn't it? And just to check it, of course, if you were to break that down, 4 eighths, 4 and 4 goes once, 8 and 8 goes twice, and that of course is 1/2. Okay, so 4 eighths is definitely equal to 1/2, right? So how will I change 3/4 of an inch to eighths? Equals what over 8? Let me give you a hint. You've got to multiply the bottom by something first of all. 4 times what gives 8? 4 times 2, right? And what do I times the top by? Now I have to times top by 2 as well, because 3/4, you see, 4 times 2 is 8 and 3 times 2 is 6. See, 3/4 is the same thing as 6 eighths, isn't it? And so that's the answer. Now if I was to check that, you see, 6 over 8 will break down. See, 2 into 6 goes 3 times, 2 into 8 goes 4 times. That becomes 3/4, which is the same thing. So 6 eighths must be equal to 3/4. But it looks different. It has 8 as a denominator, but it's an equivalent fraction. It's the same, like 6 eighths and 3/4. They're equivalent fractions, but they look completely different. I mean, they have different bottoms. They have different tops too, but they are the same thing. I mean, there's no difference between the size of them, so to speak, the length of them, right? Okay, the length of the measurement, say. Okay, so how would you change 5/2 into eighths? And then how would you change 1/4 into eighths? Press pause and do both of those, and then I'll do it. Okay, to change the 5/2 into eighths, I would need to multiply the bottom by 4. If I multiply the bottom by 4, I must do the same thing to the top, because 5/2, 2 times 4 is 8, and 5 times 4 is 20. 5/2 is the same thing as 20 over 8. Okay, to turn 1/4 into eighths, I need to multiply the bottom by 2. And I must then multiply the top also by 2. And so I get 4 times 2 is 8, and 1 times 2 is 2. So 1/4 is the same thing as 2 eighths, right? So let's look at examples 2. It says write each fraction as an equivalent fraction with denominator 24. Okay, so let's start with 1/6. I want to write that as a fraction with denominator 24. So now, let me ask you this. 6 times what gives 24? 6 times 4, isn't it? Right? And if I multiply the bottom by 4, what do I need to multiply the top by? 4 as well, right? So 6 fours is 24, and 1 times 4 is 4. So 1/6 is the same time as 4 over 24, so that's the answer, 4/24. And give me an equivalent fraction of 5/12. By the way, why are we doing this? We're doing this because we're going to have to add and subtract fractions soon, in which case we have to be able to write equivalent fractions. Okay, so we need this for adding and subtracting fractions. So 12 times what gives 24? 12 times 2, and I must multiply the top also by 2, right? because 5 twelfths is the same thing as 5 times 2, 10 over 12 times 2, 24. 5 twelfths is the same thing as 10 over 24. So please press pause and do this one and this one. Write each of these fractions as an equivalent fraction with denominator 24. Okay. So remember, you've got to get 24 in the bottom for each of these. Okay, so what do you multiply the bottoms by? Well, 3 times 8 is 24, and must multiply the top by 8 too, so that becomes 16 24ths. And 8 times 3 is 24, and I must also multiply the top by 3. So 21 24ths, right?